Welcome to the Battleground of the Gods.
I forgot I'm hosting.
I was like, go for it, bud.
Yep, you gonna go? Welcome, challengers, to Battleground of the Gods. I am your host again this week, Fro Double G, and joining me we have the lady sensation Dep Nation.
How's it going, bots?
And the monster of the mid lane, Nevea03.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Well, breaking more records. Bryce, Willow, not here. They're lame. They're just lame. No other reason. But moving on. Dep, how was your week, bud?
Oh, had a really good week playing Mode of the Day, and it'd be great if I could look at my match history, but I can't because it's Mode of the Day and they don't show up.
Unlucky.
But I believe, looking at my other games here, Arena, I'm about a 1-to-1 ratio, win for every loss. Conquest, won my Conquest game I played this week, obligatory Conquest game. And let's see here. I lost every single Assault game I played. Official, I am not someone who's good at Assault.
Bro, it's easy. It's easy.
No, it's not. You get shit gods, you get shit teammates when you get good gods. It's just no bueno.
Here's the number one tip. Don't re-roll your healer.
Oh,
Easy.
we didn't. They just got better ones.
Oh, unlucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, what is it? Like, we had a Chiron to their... Or no, did we? One of the times they had Aphrodite, the other time they had Hell. So it was just it was a moot point. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna lose this one, and then guess what? We lost. It's that's how it goes. She's just super strong, and I couldn't carry my team hard enough. I forget who I even was in those games. I think I ended up with melee characters, so double feels bad.
There is another game that you're not bringing up here, and it was the one that you played that made you 45 minutes late to D&D?
Well, no. So I was also like, I just had problems that day. No, Thursday. What day is today?
Saturday.
I just have problems, okay? Like, I didn't know what day yesterday was. I forgot about D&D. Everything was happening. Everything was happening, and it was bad. So, my week was, I'm going to chalk it up as recovering from a bachelor party, is what my week was.
Mm-hmm.
How was your week, Nevea?
Well, I will say you did play one hell of a Ymir that game. We played a Conquest with Dep here and Bryce and Rick. And we had a random in the solo lane, and we won that game after 24 minutes. I think we forced a surrender, if I recall correctly.
They also had a disconnect.
Yes, that was unlucky. For them, not for us.
Right.
After that, we did continue to play, because we did not have D&D. I think we played quite a handful of Conquest. I had Scotty in the carry lane, did not go very well. Then I pulled out the Nuwa mid, which is always a good time, and I spent probably about the first 10 minutes of that game just following Rick and spam laughing because I was using the Oktoberfest skin, which is a really good Nuwa skin. The laugh is just top tier. Good job, guys. So I just followed him around in the jungle, just laughing while I was building stacks.
Savage.
Yeah, it was a good time. Then I played an Agony game, and then I was like, hey, wait a minute, now we have a full party, because Goke ended up joining us, and our substitute, Dookie, also joined, so we had a full team, and I was like, I'm gonna try Persephone. Boys, I love her. I'm not good with her yet. but she's fun as hell. She's awesome.
No, she's really fun.
I did not do very good, but I did have some high damage numbers there and all of that. I got to figure out. It was literally the first game I've ever played with Persephone, so I got to figure out how to like keep up with the farming as well as trying to push people out of my lane. Unfortunately, I was laning against a Hades, so.
Depp had a Persephone game that he forgot to mention.
Oh, go ahead and tell us about it.
It was Infinite Assault, and everyone was Persephone. Assault 2.0,
yeah.
Airbag 2.0, something. It was the Assault map, and everyone was Persephone with infinite mana. So I'm gonna let you draw your own conclusions to how that went.
I'm sure that was pure chaos, and like your mini map just looks insane with all the Persephone plants. Mm-hmm. Even when there's just one Persephone in the game, you're like, are there minions in the lane? I'm confused.
Oh yeah,
I know it's a known issue, Fro. I know it's a known issue, and they're looking at it, but I can't imagine how the mini map looks like with 10 Persephones in the game.
It was horrific, and I believe I crashed out twice in that match.
Oh, because like too many plants or too many ults going on at the same time? Or?
All of it,
yeah.
Nev. All of it was happening. I think both teams built full cooldown. Like it's
my
it was
goodness.
dumb.
Well, it sounds awful, but also fun all at the same time.
It was nightmarish. Like, somehow my team were like, all right, we're all going to pick Persephone. The enemy team had the same idea. There were 10 Persephones, Nev. It was nightmarish. And then the Persephones are living after you killed them, and they're coming at you, and, it was some freaky shit.
Insane. And then after that game, I played another AMC game. I'm loving AMC in Conquest. He's so much fun. And we won that game in about 30 minutes. I went 9-6-8. Felt real good. And then this week in the league, I think I can officially announce this now. The stats aren't completely updated, but I think we're second now. Second overall.
Ooh.
So we got 2 more weeks of the split. So fingers crossed that we can do some pretty cool stuff with that. So it's been a good season, or split, or whatever you want to call it. But we won this week's game 2-0. I think we finished the whole set in about hour and a half, I think it was. So with picks and bans and waiting for people to join the lobby and all of that. So, but yeah, good week. Good week for Nev. Fro, how was your week?
Bryce just messaged me, literally just messaged me. You better watch out for them scrims.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so tonight, so our scrim team, TBD, the team that Bryce is on, we've become scrim partners as well as being opponents in the league. But we decided tonight we were going to have drunk scrims and everybody's going to get wasted and do some crazy shit. So I'm ready. Bring it on.
Can I shoutcast stream you?
Dude, do it. It's going to be insane.
He told me what he's going to pick, and I was like, yes.
Is he going Thor mid? I feel like he's going to go Thor mid.
I mean, you know Bryce, he likes his Thor.
Yeah, he's gonna either go Thor mid or Loki mid. I can feel it.
Loki mids is not good. Not good.
But how was Fro's week?
I played a game with this guy who legitimately got pissy and almost sat in base. We're in comms with him. I was playing with Arab and Bob, and I forget who else. But this guy's getting pissy, and literally he's like, I might just sit in base. And I'm like, dude, I'm just flat ass going to tell you I'm going to report your ass if you sit in base just because you got Ymir and Assault. Like, that's no need to fucking whine. And he ended up going like 5-1 on Ymir and was just fucking these kids up. And I'm like, all this coming from the guy who's like, I'm going to sit in base because I got Ymir. Like, and we started picking on him, and he, like, started having a good time with it, but it was just really ironic. Besides that, I played with Webb and Lantern last night, and we played some conquests, and I decided I wanted to channel my inner Nev and play some Vulcan. Bruh. Fucking fragged on these kids. Like, it. So, the first game did alright. They ended up surrendering. But the second game, I was like, oh shit. I recognize two of the people in this match. And one was the Soul and the other was the Cucullin. I'm like, Webb, be careful over in the solo lane. Like, he's got his plat border, and last I knew he was decent, but I haven't played with these guys in years, mind you. Literally years. And then I was like, yeah, be careful over in the dual lane. But after that, turns out that Soul went mid. And I shit on this kid. Like, sorry, bud. Like, we're friends. Like I said, we're on the friends list. Haven't played with him in years. But he ended up going 1-12, and I was 11-1. I was level 19 or 18. I was at level 18 at 18 minutes with, like, I was fragging. I was fragging on these kids. I ended up finishing the game at like 5,000 with 5,000 gold because I hadn't backed in forever. We had an Apollo who, he was the one rando was the Apollo, and he was bitching and complaining that we wouldn't go over to his lane and help him. Granted, we're fragging everywhere else. And Lantern wanted to leave because he was kind of like, I'm tired of being with this Apollo. It's like, all right, understandable. Well, they end up starting fighting, and they're like, hey, we should start up a fight over in, left lane or right lane because we want to look for this fire giant here soon, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, nah, guys, I'm going to go help. I'm going to go help left lane. I'm going to go help this Apollo finally. Like, a minute and a half later, I forget, it was Webb. I think it was Webb. Is like, holy shit, you're taking a Phoenix? And I'm like, yeah. He hadn't even had T1 down when I got over there. I'm like, yeah, I just came over. I decided I'm going to help this guy out, push his wave up. He's been asking for some help. We end up taking the fucking left Phoenix. So we went T1, T2 Phoenix down. Just done.
Jesus.
We just smashed right through it. And he was Apollo, so wave would come up and I would just go clear the wave and then go back to the tower so he didn't have to hop off from it. And yeah, we smashed down that lane real quick. Let's see here. There's a couple other notable ones. Been playing some Persephone. She's fun. I think I talked about a lot of that with Bryce, though. Yeah, that's the other notable one. Oh, got Cupid a few games, but, I've mentioned enough about Cupid. He's fun. People... Okay. I'm going to bring this Cupid game up now that I mention it. I think it was Ash, Willow... Yeah, it was Ash, Willow, and Danny Boy. And I was Cupid, and we had a random. Ash was Artio, Willow was King Arthur, Danny Boy was Cabrakan, and our random was Achilles, and I was Cupid. And I'm like, listen here, guys. I want every goddamn aura in this game. I want every goddamn aura. I want Shoguns. I want Heart Ward. I want Sovereignty. You motherfuckers, all four of you better get me all of this shit. I'm going to be the world's most spoiled, whiny bitch little carry in the world right now because I'm the only carry. I went 17-2.
Holy shit.
Oh.
Them auras, though.
What the fuck?
Well, we were going against actually 4 magicals, so we didn't end up getting the Sovereignty or any of that shit. I think one person picked up a Thebes, but we didn't get the Sovereignty. But I did get my Shoguns eventually. I whined when after the second round of items, none of the supports got it. I'm like, listen here, you fuckheads. I wasn't joking. Get me my goddamn Shoguns.
I would have started Shoguns if there are 4 magics on the enemy team.
Let's see. I think it was a Pestilence and then a Heart Ward and then the rando picked up a Genji, and I think our Cabrakan went Gaia. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there wasn't a Shogun from the start. There was the second round or the third round because they got their boots first, basically. But then I bitch. I'm like, I wanted my fucking Shoguns.
Dude, in Assault, 50% of the time I forget to get boots.
I don't even consider getting boots until like the first tower's going down and I need the movement speed. Unless I do my Specialist Blessing boot start when I'm on the healer. But yeah, that was a really fun game. I told them, like, guys, like the other shit I was like picking on them about, but this one I'm like, legitimately, I'm gonna sit in the back and I'm gonna free cast this entire match. If one of you guys just want to come help me when they try to dive me, that'd be cool. And the Warriors pretty much were just annoyed the shit out of the back line, but I had like a personal Cabrakan and an RDO keeping me safe on calls. That was awesome. And it was a really good game. It was fun. That poor Merlin and Thoth. That RDO was just crippling them. Like, Ash, good job. You're crippling them pretty well.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah, that's it, really, for the most part. It's nothing too terribly crazy in my week. Although, we had the hat, but we'll talk about that. That was really fun as well. You know, I'm forgetting that I'm actually I'm hosting this week, and I keep, like...
I was going to say...
I make it seem like dramatic depth pauses, but these aren't intentional. I'm not used to Depp being here and me hosting. This is like, what, second time it's happened ever?
Yep.
Depp, are you retiring hosting? Like,
No.
This is the third episode I've had to do.
Dude, I told you, I'm out of it, man. I didn't even know what day of the week it was.
I know. Well,
I
I
still
can tell
don't
you
know
it's
what day of the
Saturday.
week it is.
Currently,
Okay.
Saturday, today. Not for you guys listening, for us recording.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a special guest that was going to show up. Why don't we go ahead and welcome our friend AJAX. Well, AJAX, thank you for coming on today.
Hello.
So, to get us started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
All right, my name is AJ, or Hi Rez AJAX, or Titan AJAX, whichever you prefer. I'm the lead designer of Smite, which means that I oversee the team of designers. Our primary tasks and deliverables are the balance patches and the new God releases, and all sorts of types of new features, quests, events, social features, bug fixes, stuff like that in the game.
There you go.
All right. Easy
Well,
peasy.
So, I do have a couple questions before we get going into the questions that our viewers have, or I always say viewers, listeners have asked.
Sure.
What got you started at Hi Rez? What got you started on Smite?
I was actually a Smite player before I worked at Hi Rez. So I was working on my master's degree in game development, and I was playing Smite. And I was working at another mobile studio in New York, where it was my first internship and my first design position. And I was still playing Smite the whole time. So I always had my sights set on Hi Rez because I really liked the games. I actually have a max level global agenda character before Smite, so I was just a fan of the studio. I wanted to work there.
So, you play Smite? I don't think many people are going to believe that.
Well, I also was, like I said, getting a lot of training in game design at the same time as I was playing Smite.
I was going to say, he slipped in Masters there, so
Yep.
he's
Yeah.
a smart cookie. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can get into game design, game development. A lot of the tools are free, and you can download them on your own. But I wanted a little bit more structure and some guidance, so I opted for a master's degree from University of Central Florida that was focused on game development, and that really got my career started. Wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Now, if I remember correctly, didn't you mention also having a degree in marine biology?
No, it's environmental engineering.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's what it was.
There is another famous game designer, Ghostcrawler. He has a degree in marine biology.
So got
Maybe
that.
mixing me up with him. He's famous for World of Warcraft and League of Legends.
Well, no, I remembered it was something nature-esque because
Yeah.
a skin was brought up and that led to that. But
Yeah, it's just a fun fact. I don't use that degree so much anymore, but it was something that I thought was interesting before I found the amazing world of game development.
there you go. Well, before we get going, Depp, do you have any particular questions?
I'm still just blown away by the master's degree. So
Hey, you should be more impressed by the people who taught themselves all that stuff just online, home alone. That's the hard way. I got to spend a lot of money, but that made me have really cool people to work with, really talented other artists and programmers to work with, and instructors and professors. A lot of my classmates are working on fantastic games. I mean, I have friends now at Rockstar, Epic, working on Fallout, working on Fortnite, working on. There's a couple other artists who now work at Hi Rez who went to my same school, which is cool. Jacob, an animator, I've gotten the chance to work with on Smite, and now he's moved on to Paladins, which has been really cool.
That's amazing. I'm just in awe. That's so cool.
It was really fun. It didn't even feel like school, honestly. I told people it felt more like a reality show than a school, because all we were doing was like getting mixed and matched into these different groups and just start making games together and then presenting those games to each other, and kind of like it felt a little competitive, because everybody wanted to make the best little student prototype games, but then we all were winners anyway, as long as you got the work done and learned what you needed to do to be a developer. As long as you weren't lazy or a jerk, you were having fun.
I was gonna say, I bet your group projects were like way better than when I went to school.
They sure were more fun. I don't know if they're better. I mean, I still have videos. I have a YouTube channel that has videos of all my old student prototype games that I could send you all later. They're pretty laughable, but I'm proud of them for how little I knew at the time.
Links will be in the description.
Yeah, we had very short periods of time, and they would put 4 or 5 people together, and you'd have like 2 weeks to make a little game, and that's what you would spend a lot of your school time on. But you'd have additional, solo classwork as well. But I think it resulted in some pretty cool little prototypes, like nothing that I would see as an indie hit or anything if we spent more time on it, but just really good learning experience and really cool little things to be proud of in your history,
Well, to be fair, that kind of is your job, designing games and making games, so it makes sense that was your projects as well.
I mean, anyone will tell you that if you're trying to get any sort of education into game development and they're not having you just make games, you should be very, very alarmed. Like, we only had like one class where we just kind of like talked about game design and kind of looked at the history and studied it or whatever. That was like an extremely small part. Most of the program was like, get together with these people and make a game. Here's Unity, here's Unreal, do it. That's
Very
what you
cool.
want to see.
Awesome. Yeah, and a lot of the people I also met when I came down for the summit there at Hi Rez, like they were all a bunch of cool people, like you were saying. So
you meet really great people working in games.
Fun experience.
It was really fun. I really appreciated y'all coming down to visit it, and I really appreciate everything the Olympians have been doing to help this year. I think it's been a really effective program. I think it's helped with some very positive changes throughout the year.
All right, so you're really going to be blowing the people's minds today between saying that Hi Rez employees play the game, and now you're saying Olympians do stuff. Like,
yeah,
controversy.
I know. Believe it or not, these things are true. I've been playing the game since day one closed beta.
Oh man.
Well, there you go.
Watch out. Next thing you know, you'll be telling us that you got plans for hard bots in the game.
Hard bots.
Oh
boy, there we go. Dude, they jump at you. I got blinked on the other day, and I was like, "What?"
They jump when they're CC'd. That weirds me out a lot.
It made me laugh.
Is that against the rules?
I don't
No,
know.
it made me laugh.
I can't do it, so I don't expect the bots to be able
That sounds
to.
like a bug. Actually, we do have plans for harder bots.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Well, we've been updating their AI, but they have a lot more behaviors now than they used to, but they're still just split into only medium and easy. So I think we're just going to better categorize them. Like, I don't think we're really changing them, but I think we do have plans to add like easy or very easy, medium, hard, and very hard. But they'll essentially consist of the current behaviors, and they won't necessarily be that much harder than they are now. It just gives people just for better co-op and new player experience. We've been looking into ways to just like actually ramp up the difficulty of the bot games on the way to the PvP games.
Look,
Gotcha.
Chiron bot is absurd. No matter if he's easy or medium, he hits it all the time.
They don't miss. Oh my god,
Miss.
I always forget about that too, because I'm pretty good at juking, and then I go up against one of the bots. I'm like, oh, I forgot, and here I am trying to run away from Chiron, and he's dashing at me. It's like, don't let me die to a bot. Don't.
They are bullies too.
They
like
dash
if
aggressively
you-
every single time.
if you queue a co-op VAI arena and you just like step foot in the middle before timers start, they just all leave like the side camps and just all rush at you. And I'm like, wait a minute, I was just like placing Artemis traps. Like, calm down. Like,
All right, I'm taking some notes of stuff because two of these things I might address. So you guys, are already helping me out, y'all. I'm gonna take some notes. I'll look into that super aggressiveness. I'll look into that jumping while CC.
no, it's funny.
If players can't do it though, then I don't want the bots doing it.
Well, the players should. In a way, if you see someone standing by themselves, you collapse on that man.
Yeah.
But players
that's
don't.
fair.
That's the thing. They don't.
No,
We
what
can't
are the
program-
other scary bots? Thor's good with
Robot.
his hammer.
I always imagine Anubis bot because his ult, he'll hit you with every single tick, no matter how much you're
Yeah.
juking. If he wants to, if he's on hard mode, he won't miss a single tick of his ult, which is crazy.
And he'll be coded by ISO. Like, oh man. I guess that does
Bots
leave
don't
me
mess
to another
around.
question. Why Anubis? What do you like
Why
so much
Anubis
about
what?
Anubis? Like, is it your
I-
favorite
This
I've-
is
god?
great.
I'm very attracted to the Egyptian pantheons, just theming and lore and visuals. I'm a big fan of Egyptian mythology in general.
Okay.
I've actually done multiple school projects, whatever, throughout my childhood and stuff about Egyptian mythology. I've always been a mythology fan, just in general, but always really gravitated a little bit more towards Egyptian than anything else. My favorite character when I first started the game was Sobek and Anubis. I played only Sobek though because I'm more of a support main, so I played like just nonstop Sobek for like a year. That's all I played during closed beta. And Sobek was insane back then. He could dash through minions. There was nowhere to hide from him.
That sounds great.
It
That
was very,
sounds
very
like-
strong.
Yeah,
Very
I
good
was like,
intended mechanic.
no.
It was
that's rough.
pretty poor in the counterplay department.
Yeah.
So I played nonstop Sobek, and I've always just liked Anubis. I just think Anubis is just a really cool character, even outside of Smite. Just the way he's been portrayed in all sorts of games and literature and movies and whatever. He's just so super cool looking and very interesting. And then, because I gravitate more towards God's art styles in a lot of way, more than their play styles, depending on the game or the character. So I just like Anubis because he's cool looking. And then, this kind of greedy, all-in, high damage, high lifesteal kit just also kind of resonated well with me after some practice. So I've just appreciated playing him. He's just fun. I like characters that feel like they can do really powerful things, but aren't necessarily considered super meta or top tier. Like I like playing kind of offbeat hybrid characters in all sorts of games.
I just heard us support Anubis is what I heard.
I've played Anubis in every role. Generally, if I'm queuing Conquest with people who are really good, like so, back when I used to play more with Aquarius or some of those other minor league players, Walp and Plasma and stuff like that, I would just pick Anubis every time, and they would just have to build their team around me. And whatever spot was open, and AJAX would play Anubis solo, Anubis jungle, Anubis duo. It didn't matter, but they were good enough that the games usually went pretty clean.
Yeah, Ajax, like, you're like, I'm just gonna pull out someone I know I'm good with, and I'll work with the role I got. Like, we'll go from there.
Yep.
So
So I love the god.
if you're a fan of mythology, that's just kind of got to add to actually like your day-to-day work enjoyment. The fact that you work on some so heavily based mythology game,
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, it's definitely part of the thing that helped me gravitate towards Smite in the first place.
Right.
And it's one of the things that I've loved about being a Smite player for so many years, and then it's just really cool, even as a Smite employee, to just keep focusing on mythology. I mean, obviously we don't really get super deep into the literature and mythology and analysis as you would in like an actual mythology course in high school or college even, but it's
Right.
really fun to just be able to work with a creative team to go through mythology and kind of reinterpret it and put new art and pictures, beautiful artwork towards creatures and gods and whatever than mythology that have never been depicted even in this style before, which is just really cool.
Well, so I
Say
do
that our
think
Smite
it's pretty
artwork is
pretty
just
nice
like-
your guys' depictions of a lot of the gods, because they are, for the most part, they do stand out in their own way, like in a good way. Like Discordia is never like depicted Oh wait, no, I lied. Discordia is. Fuck. Who am I?
Well, yeah, you just see a lot of mythology art. It's very old school style. It's very, ancient or Renaissance or so it's just really cool to see this high quality modern illustrations of these ancient characters.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think of who else. I'm drawing a blank on it though. It was one of those gods that in Roman, but in Greek they're different depictions, and yeah. Anyways.
Oh well, there's minute discrepancies between all Roman and Greek.
Yes.
Well, a lot of that has to do with like personality wise, but this was like a hard look wise, but yeah.
But some gods were like never depicted, like Artio. There's just one statue of a woman sitting down and a bear in front of her, and that's like all that there was. And like Cernunnos, specifically the Celtic gods, like a lot of their ancient depictions either weren't made or weren't preserved. So we're kind of putting new art to a character that has existed for hundreds of years but doesn't really have any official art.
Right.
So when you search Artio, like all you see is Smite art.
Or I guess like Olorun's probably another example of that. Not much art of him, I'd imagine. I don't really know. I've never really been Googled much of it. But
not ancient historic art that I could find, but there was definitely other more modern art that were different historians or different just artists of the culture, and he was in a really cool photography set of the Yoruba Orishas that we saw as we were prepping for those gods. That was really cool. I'm not sure exactly which artist did them, but they're really neat.
I'm trying to think of another one. I think Cupid, right? Cupid in Greek and Roman, and one of them he's the like Aphrodite's child, and in another he's like a primordial force.
I'm not 100% sure. I guess so. I'd have to go back and double check that one. I haven't looked up the Cupid lore in quite a while.
I'd say he's known as Eos in Greek. I do remember that.
Eros,
sure,
right?
Eros, yeah.
So yeah. It might be in Greek then that he's like a lot scarier than this little chibi bow and arrow guy.
I'm pretty sure he is depicted as.
He's described as
Afro
one of the children of Aphrodite in both.
Mm-hmm.
But he is you're right, and Eros is described as one of the primordial gods. Interesting.
You can't stop love.
So Cupid primordial.
Cupid primordial skin. Let's go.
Give Cupid a Cthulhu skin, just like AMC.
Right?
Got it. That would be terrifying, actually. Don't do that.
That would be super terrifying. His ultimate, just like a little field of tentacles. Watch out.
I'm just trying to think of what a love primordial would look like. Like, so not like dark and purple and scary, but just like giant cosmic energy of like bright pinks and whites and beautiful colors or something like that. That would be very interesting. Kind of like that Chernobog angel we made.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Or,
that feels to me like a primordial of romance.
See, when we started this conversation, I didn't think I really wanted a Cupid skin. But the more as it goes on, I think I want a Cupid skin.
How big can his head be in this skin?
Is that your goal, just to get the biggest possible Cupid head?
Well, it's got to be at least like half his body or it won't fit the rig, so can't go any smaller than that.
You're right. Well, anyways, let's move on to some of our guest questions we got. Nev, you got us covered here?
All right. So I'm going to preface this one really quick. Because first up, we have Coffin Monkey, and I think the other hosts know where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. AJAX. Back in the golden days of Bot G, I had an animal shelter, and every episode I would ask a guest to euthanize, adopt, or leave a pet at the shelter, and it was an animal-themed god. And when one was euthanized, I would put it out and replace it. But now, things are worse. Rainforests are burning, oceans are being polluted, crops are failing. Today, things are much more drastic. I want you to fix an environmental crisis, leave one trending, and lastly, let one completely happen. Here's your list. Poseidon, king of the deep. shall you fix the oceans from dying and warming. Zeus, king of the sky, shall you let the skies continue to be polluted. AMC, king of the bees, shall you discover an alternative to pesticides. Fix one, leave one for someone else to deal with, and forget one and let it happen. Or if this is too deep and is heavy, feel free to just get rid of Raw.
Well, that is a very creative question. And
That's
I'm
Coffin Monkey.
drawing back on my environmental engineering knowledge as much as I possibly can here. I'm trying to think of which of these three is the most important, you know. So we got air pollution, ocean pollution, and insect species, you know, bees die off or pesticide issues are the main three, right? And they gotta fix one,
Yeah, so I wish you'd clarify the
procrastinate
AMC
on
one, a
one,
little bit.
and ignore one. Is that
And
the
ignore one. Yep.
Oh man. Let's see, you know, oceans are very interconnected into everything. They have a lot of impact on the environment across the board, as do the bees. You know, the mass species die off, that could cause real problems real fast. I feel like air pollution is the most fixable one. Like, didn't they make that? They made some cool giant air filter in China that they put in the middle of a city that just like that they were just running, so even though people were polluting, they could still clean the air. So I
that
feel like I'm
sounds
no
kinda
idea.
Awesome. Yeah.
I remember reading a story about that. I took a class about air pollution filtration stuff too as well back in the days. So I think, you know, I think I would focus on the bees first.
Hey, all
Because
right.
that way we can successfully feed everybody and we can prevent like the shortest path to us all dying, which is just if like these core species at the bottom of food chains that do these important things, if those die off, just like everything is in bad shape real fast. So I think
So
that
everything
would be
just collapses, yeah.
yeah, so the species collapse and then food production, that to me seems most important. I would probably put oceans as second. We could procrastinate a little on the oceans, but we got to get to it. And I think I'd put air as the save for another day. Let someone else fix that.
All right.
So, Nev,
We can live in bubbles or like little Jetsons houses bubbles or something if we had to, right? We just never really go outside.
well, I mean, we're gamers. We don't really do too much
Yeah,
outside.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So-
Right.
We don't need fresh air.
just
Well, that
a
was
warning,
a very creative
Nev.
question. I wish I had more. I wish I had brushed up more on my old specialization before this interview, as opposed to focusing only on Smite and game development topics.
Oh yes, we do kind of go off topic, but still somehow stay in the world of Smite. So
This is very I mean, yeah, environmentalism questions very relevant to me as well as Smite. So kudos to that person for that creative question.
good job, Coffin. All right, next up we have Vio. Will old Odyssey T5 skins eventually return ever, either as an unlimited or some new tier? I was telling a friend about the recent Cuckoo T5, and he lamented about missing Ares, saying that he would have spent the money necessary to get it despite not playing the game all the time. From a business standpoint, there's a lot to be gained.
It's mostly a trust issue, right? We've been telling players that these things cannot ever be attained again, and we don't want to break that promise. It's very
Right.
important to us. So I think the short answer is no, those won't come back. But we have done things like we did Demonic Thanatos, where he was not as high tier as the original tier 5. He doesn't transform, but we knew a lot of people wanted that skin, and we wanted a way to give people part of the experience without breaking the trust of the original Odyssey supporters. So we might do something like that again. And we also sometimes we make these skins available through our really large donation initiatives. So if we ever have another charity event, sometimes you can earn these skins by donating a large amount of money to charity, because then that way we're not really breaking players' trust because we're not profiting off it. We're letting people obtain this reward by giving money to a charitable cause instead of to us, which we felt better about. So no plans to just make old limited skins just strict limited, but they might be edited artistically and re-released, or you might be able to obtain them through some other means. But I don't have anything official like planned about those right now.
All right.
At least the good news is all these event rewards going forward are unlimited now. So if you do miss the Kukulkan skin, you can come back and buy that one later.
Oh, thank you. Because and that was going to be my question.
Yeah, so Kukulkan is unlimited. This year's Odyssey Tier 5 will be unlimited. The Merlin reward skin from earlier in the year. And was the Jorm one as well? I think all of the skins for this year have been in that category, and we talked about it before they launched. So going forward, these players will have ways to obtain these things, even if they come back to the game later, or don't have the money to buy it now but want to come back later. So those will be available. But as far as changing the status of old skins, we really try not to do that.
Because I'm sitting here looking at my gem amount, and it's not enough to get the cuckoo right now. So that's good news. Thank you for letting me know.
But if you wait, you don't get all the other things in the event, which is
I know.
But at least you can still get it.
And
all right.
the demonic Thanatos, I think, was a little bit of an exception because people loved that Archon and really, really wanted it, and a big portion of the community never even had a chance to get it. The Xbox and the PS4 people, because we weren't around.
That's true.
Then.
That's a good point.
That's one thing I always looked at. It's like we never had a chance, and here's our one chance, and it's different because it's a demon, not an angel, and it doesn't transform. It's just they reuse the same rig. People, calm down.
Yeah, I think actually the reaction to Demonic Thanatos was pretty positive. I think everybody was like, who had the skin was like, had the original one. They didn't feel cheated. They were like, oh, okay, I still think mine is different enough. I feel really special still having mine, but that's cool that someone else can enjoy it too. Like, it seems like that was pretty positive.
I was happy about it because, like I said, I knew I was never going to get a chance to get the Archon and never had a chance. So,
unfortunately,
you mean you're not going to save up $1,000 for the charity stream donation?
I mean, if I had $1,000, I wouldn't be recording on a potato right now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's for charity, though.
All right. Adios is up next. He's got a few questions, and I'll just I'll pause in between them so you can answer them.
Okay.
How many Amma sweaters do you own?
I just have the one. Just the one sweater. I have one hoodie and one t-shirt that both have her on them. They get washed often, and props to Into the AM for having such nice graphics that maintain their bright colors even after multiple washings.
Hashtag ad. What is your favorite beer?
My favorite beer?
Yes.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
Ooh, that's tough. I've been drinking a lot of IPAs and sours lately. There's a brewery from Athens, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, called Creature Comforts. That's a very successful brewery that has some really delicious stuff. They make an IPA called Tropicalia, which is amazing. They make a sour called Athena, actually, which is awesome.
Ooh.
But I go kind of through my moods. I don't always love sours. I was drinking some. I like Sierra Nevada IPAs from out west, and all their different. They have all sorts of different types of IPAs. Those are all delicious. I was just drinking some Sierra Nevada hazy IPAs. Those were really good. So, I don't know. My favorite singular. If I had to just pick a single brewery and a single name, I guess right now I'd give the shout out to Creature Comforts Tropicalia. But my tastes are always changing and evolving, and I love to try new beers and go to different breweries.
How can you not drink the
time.
Seasonals, man? Like, they only come around, like, and that's the point of them.
My tastes are very seasonal, too. I like to drink summer. I like to drink the sours and the IPAs in the summer and the spring, and then I like to switch a little bit to more of the ambers and the darker beers in the winter. But I'm a big fan of beer all around
beers
the board.
Work too, in a way, when they come to actually producing them in a way. My best friend's a brewmaster, so talk a lot about beer. I want you to know that you made Adios really happy with this answer, by the way.
I was about to say.
9 out of 10 times, he usually gets, I like Bud Light, or I don't mind a Corona, or something like that, and he's just like, well, Fine then.
No,
Or
I'm a
people
little
say they
bit
don't
more
drink.
of yeah, I mean, I've gone on lots of different trips that are geared around going just mostly to small craft breweries and having all sorts of weird stuff like strawberry shortcake sours and coconut IPAs and stuff like that. Like I've had all sorts of crazy beer. I really like I'm a very adventurous eater and drinker, so I like trying new things and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, the world of beer is beautiful, and there's so many cool options. And I love how craft beer is really growing across, especially America is really leading the charge, even nationally. Like when I travel internationally, it's hard to get beer as good as you can get in America now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep this question going and add a question to it. Since you said that was available near Atlanta, when we go to HRX, will that beer be available? Because I want to try it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, we can find it. The creature comfort stuff is they've been getting better at their distribution over the past few years. Like when I first moved here, it was actually pretty hard to find. Like you would get to the people would get to the grocery store like on shipping day at the opening time and like buy out as much as they could of it. But now
Oh
you can find it
gosh.
pretty easily in like grocery stores and liquor stores and convenience stores. You can find and then multiple of their types of beer. But I mean, Atlanta has a lot of great beer. I mean, we could go to a liquor store and we'll get all sorts of good stuff. There's a really good fruity IPA by the what's it's called the Pog Basement pomegranate.
Poggers.
It's called pomegranate orange guava. Pog, that's what they stand for. Yeah, but it's got works for the games. We can get some Pogs up in here. That one's delicious. That's from Scofflaw Brewing, which is in Atlanta. Oh man, there's so much good stuff.
Awesome. I look forward to that. All right. Adios also asks, are there going to be any more adventures in the future, especially PvE ones?
I can't spoil too much. I'm trying to remember what I've said in the past. I mean, I think I've made statements on this a few times.
Adventure and like
We have
events.
mentioned. Well, we. Uh,
I was
so
just, that's the only wording. Your wording I remember is saying adventure like events.
yeah. So we do have a little Smite prototype team inside of Smite that's been testing out some new game mode ideas and things like that. We don't have any announcements on what, if anything, new is coming from that yet. Um, we've had a lot of pitches go through that system, a lot of game modes made prototypes, a lot of them canceled, some of them that we like a little bit more that we're continuing to work on. So there's always kind of experimentation, but we don't really have anything. So I know I've talked about that before. Um, I can't say anything else specifically about what adventures are coming up, or if we do plan on anything like that. But I will say that we'll be making some more official announcements about that soon. And we know that people really like the RPG adventures, the PvE adventures. We know that that's a very high level of interest of our player base, but they're also the hardest to develop. You make these huge environments and lots of content and stuff that Smite was not constructed for. So that would be those are probably more in the long term, although we know that there's interest for them. But more PvP modes are the kind of things we've been experimenting with lately.
Let's say feel free to bring back Nike's Valley of Victory at any time. I would not be upset.
Oh
I
yeah,
missed that one. I didn't get to
I
play it.
loved
Capture
that
the
one.
Flag one.
Yes.
You
Oh
really
my
liked
God.
it?
That was my favorite adventure, hands down. Easy.
Interesting. So I have all the metrics on all the adventures, and I know which ones are most popular and most played, and that one was not in the top list.
I don't understand why. I thought it was great. Aside from the fact that it was the first one and it was right after Fafnir's Wonderland, or not right after, it was in that time frame. But I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, I think that one did have a lot of potential, and maybe it was just its positioning and the timing or advertisement that made it a little less popular. People didn't really understand the system yet, of it just adventures in general. But all right, that's cool. I'll keep that in mind. We're constantly looking back at the ones and trying to decide what was most successful about which ones than other ones.
I can't remember. Was there a King of the Hill mode?
No.
I would not say
In
there
any
was.
of
There
them?
was a domination, which is our capture point.
I
That's the
like that
closest,
one.
so,
That one was a lot of fun.
I think it'd be neat if that one was whatchamacallit, one of the mode of the days.
We have discussed some options as far as making more of a rotational mode of the day with more game modes, but um, it's a difficult technical challenge because then you have to download all these additional maps, and we don't want the game file size to just be massive. Like that's already something that constrains us on platforms like Nintendo Switch, where people don't have as much memory. Um, so if we put all of those modes into the game at once, it would be a massive download, and it would be updates would be a lot slower. So we're trying to look at how to. But that's something we've talked about too. I don't have any concrete plans or any spoilers or anything. I'm just saying that's something that I've experimented with some design prototype, plans with my team about how could we do that and make Match of the Day more interesting and combine some of those other modes and adventure modes. But it's not something we've officially solved or planned to launch yet.
All right.
Well, that's all I have in the Discord, so I'm going to pass it on over to Fro.
Yep. I wasn't prepared. I'm sorry. I mean, I am prepared. I just wasn't ready. There we go. Oh no, my Twitter reset. Okay, now I'm not prepared.
Oh.
The magic of editing.
All right. We're leaving it in there. That's quality content.
So, our first one we got from Twitter here is from our buddy Rumrunner102. He says, "Is there cocaine in Ganesh's flower? He seems a little too happy to be smelling it in his victory outro."
There is not.
All right.
That does. I think our categorization from the ESRB is mild violence and alcohol usage because of Bacchus.
Bacchus, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I don't think we have any. We don't have drug or tobacco usage in the game anywhere because that could push us to another level of rating. So, Bacchus's alcoholism is the only one. I remember this because there was a specific discussion about if Baron Samedi should be able to smoke his cigar because he is traditionally depicted with one. But that originally around the same time there was a big community discussion about a cigar on a character in League of Legends and if it was not allowed in certain regions and stuff like that. So yeah, that's not what's happening. He is just that genuinely excited to have won his match and enjoying his flowers. That's just Ganesh being him. He doesn't need any performance enhancing substances to change his personality there.
He was happy to help.
Exactly.
Nailed it. That was a lot longer of an answer than I was expecting.
I try to find ways to share little interesting factoids about the game and whenever I can,
All right. So the next one is from our boy Key or Sky or whatever the fuck his name is this week. We can't keep track of this anymore. Will we ever get a permanent 2v2 mode?
A permanent 2v2 mode? I don't know, honestly. It's another thing that we've discussed and we've tested and we've talked about, but adding more game modes to Smite is something that has a lot of difficult decisions along with it. So I can't really answer it right now. I'd say I understand that there's a lot of people that are interested in it. We've been looking at kind of an adventure scope, testing 2v2 and looking into that. We know people run 2v2 tournaments and things like that, but no official plans that I can really announce. I can't make a promise that yes, you'll ever have a permanent 2v2 game mode. That's just not something I can do. But I will say that it's constantly being considered and looked at and discussed, and we know there's interest in it.
Look, it needs to be one lane. You call the game mode E-couple. Someone automatically gets Susano. Someone automatically gets Aphrodite. It's easy.
Well, that's a good match of the day right there.
I think that actually, like, when Kitten of Doom came on, we talked about that, how that should be a match of the day. Just Susano and Aphrodite. That's it. Just
send it over to Isaiah, see if he can hook it up.
All right, we can do that. Next one we have is from our boy Pubed. Where is Ranked Assault?
This is interesting because there was another Reddit post I replied to recently about people wanting us to balance Assault.
Question mark?
The question is, does Assault really ever need to be competitive or balanced? Is it still Assault if it's either of those things?
No. That's my
that's
strong
my
opinion.
opinion. My
Pubed,
opinion
I
is that
loved you, bud,
Assault,
but I'm the guy who's
yeah,
going to argue against this. I'm gonna.
yeah. My opinion is that Assault is meant to be random and fun and not super competitive because, if you're just going to lose to a team comp dice roll, that's not really fun to be a competitive thing anyway. I don't know. If you want something like this, I would suggest, I know people do Assault tournaments. I know people do um, essentially like random god picks and other game modes. They just kind of, just kind of put that like a kind of a Nuzlocke challenge type of self-imposed rules. Like those are the ways I'd suggest you look for that right now. We don't plan to incorporate ranked Assault into the actual game anytime soon.
God, could you imagine, like, if you think ranked conquest is salty, could you imagine someone who re-rolls a healer in ranked assault? You would have people trying to
Unlucky.
implode the internet just to get at that asshole.
I mean, theoretically, if they were competitive enough, they wouldn't make these mistakes, or they would have good reasons for them.
No,
but,
when their teammate did.
Yeah,
you
even
always
that
got to
teammate, I
complain
mean,
about the
even
ranked
them, yeah.
teammates. That's a default thing. It's their
of course.
Yeah, it's
Is the
not my
person-
fault. It's yours.
Yeah. Yes, I do agree that there would probably be a lot of negative player behavior issues if we to make competitive Assault.
Then we have Nico, Hi Rez Nico. Hi, yes.
Oh, cool.
I was wondering, when were we going to see the revival of Ranked Arena?
Oh, really? Gotta do me like that? One of my own employees? See the same answer as Ranked Assault, really. Like, we don't really see the point. Like, Arena is meant to be fun, and, just because there's not a rank associated with it doesn't even mean it's not even competitive. Same with Assault. There's very good Assault players in the high MMR Assault queue. The addition of ranked just separates those player bases and causes other issues. Like I just don't see any advantages to ranked arena. I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Look, you just do ranked arena, but only on the corrupted arena map. Nailed it.
Yes. Now that sounds fun.
So I do got a quick, like, personal question here to stem off from this one.
Sure.
Is there a reason why we can't see our MMR for our casuals? Is that just so it stays casual and so people don't get all sweaty try hard about it?
Well, showing MMR is a different discussion entirely. It's a very interesting game development, game design problem, really. The most common opinion from most game developers, most designers, is that showing MMR is not a fun experience to players because MMR is meant to be a back-end matchmaking tool. It's not something that's meant to progress in a way that feels good like normal game mechanics are. So if MMR is working as intended, after a certain number of matches, sometimes it's depending on the game, it's a lot, or depending on some of your mathematical choices, it's 100 or less or more. We have your MMR. We know how good you are, and you're not going to be able to change it pretty much ever. And I'm not saying that this is a challenge. I'm not calling people out. This is a statistical fact that most players, overwhelmingly most players, once they reach this official MMR point, it doesn't change for them. So most cases you would just see the same number over and over again forever for the rest of your life, which is not super fun. But we've agreed to show it in ranked just because it was something the players wanted so much, and they wanted to help show people what was going on with the matchmaking more clearly so that they could understand, even though it's not necessarily designed to be a progression metric. We do have relatively high variance, as we call it, which allows players in Smite to change their MMR, even though they've played a lot of matches. But that has a lot of other complicated downsides with it as well. So, I think I would be very open to finding a way to give players a better progression metric on their normal game modes. Maybe it's not literally MMR, but maybe it's something that feels more like a rank or a combination of skill and time played that helps them see, oh, I'm a master arena player. Like I think that's a really positive direction to go for the game, and that'd be something we could tackle in the long term. But I don't necessarily think that'd be better than just, or that would be better or worse than just showing MMR, right? There's very
Right.
different set of pros and cons between those two strategies. So I like the idea of making a more interesting progression matrix and ways to show off that you've mastered a game mode or that you're very high skill in that game mode, but I don't so much like just showing people their MMR in all game modes. But depending on who you talk to, you could either of those possible directions could be successful for the game.
I'm just really curious because we always joke on here that I'm a GM Assault player because I've played like 3,000 some odd games of Assault. And like, I know it doesn't count because how Smite Guru works, but for, 2 years in a row, I was top 50 in Assault on PS4 for their quote unquote ELO on there. And the year before those two, I was in top 100. So I was just kind of always wondering.
I mean, so MMR and ELO, however, is calculated on a curve, right? It's calculated with all the other players in the game in mind. So Smite Guru's number tends to be wrong, but if they think you're in the top MMR, you most likely are. I'd say that's probably true. You probably are towards the top end of all players in MMR in those game modes if you're seeing that stat there. I'd say that's probably true.
Well, I was just... I know they don't directly correlate, but I was just kind of always something like, well, I can work on this and try to improve this number, so let's go with this. Granted, with Assault, it's random, and you can't in a way, but you can slightly.
Focusing on your Assault MMR does sound like a frustrating endeavor, but if some people want to do that, I'm okay with that.
Boy, I got them Assault strats down. You can ask Dev. Like,
Oh yeah.
I like my Assault. I enjoy it.
Even though,
that's cool. But the thing is, I'm looking.
I'm
not looking to get competitive with it. Like, I'm not actively trying. I'm like, oh, I want to be an actual GM Assault. But it's just like, I like playing it, so I learned how to play it.
Yeah, maybe just some sort of like, instead of even more complicated things I was describing, maybe just something that kind of kept you notified just where in the top player group you were. You know, something that said top 100, top 1,000. And just so you know, like, oh, when I queue Arena, I know I'm one of the top 1,000 and I play with other top 1,000. That's just cool. Like, something like that could be really nice, and instead of just showing MMR.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. It's something that I've talked about, and I've, sketched out some rough draft designs for a lot, too. But hasn't been officially scheduled.
Either that or you could almost do a percentile. Just tell us the percent. What I mean, there's not much of a difference between top this many people, top percentile.
I guess so, but percentile, like, it's kind of like MMR, like out of context numbers. You know, that's why I present our balance reports in these ways in ranks, because you get an idea. Like, if you see your MMR is whatever 1,800, you don't know if that's good or bad unless you go compare it to everyone. If you see your top 5%, you don't know if that's 5 players or 5,000 players. Like, so I like giving people more in context numbers whenever possible in game design, but sometimes it's not possible.
I know that definitely makes sense. Makes it more relevant, more relatable, so you can understand the number. Like you said, more context. Anyways, we should probably get to the last.
So ranked arena not coming back right away.
Yes, ranked arena not coming back right away. Got it. Last one we got from Rayathan at One True Ray. Is one class more difficult to balance than the other?
I don't think it really depends on class. It's more of a god by god. Some gods are much more difficult to balance than others. How difficult to balance is even defined can change the answer of this question. So you could make that is the god difficult to nerf or buff to 50% win rate? Is the god difficult to balance in that the community perception is very different than their actual performance? Like, those are different types of difficult to balance. So I'd say it doesn't really, I wouldn't really say there's a single class that really pops out in my mind as being always difficult to balance.
Just more particularly gods.
Yeah, specific gods. I don't know. I'd say, one that comes up a lot is just the discussion of mages, because players tend to
There's so many.
perceive mages as extremely powerful even when their stats aren't so good, just because they have the highest uh, potential to just one shot you or hit you with a really large area of effect ability that felt hard to dodge. So they have probably a lot of the most difficult perception versus performance issues, which is difficult. So I guess if I had to pick a class right now based on the current um, climate in the game, I would say mages.
And
You
mages,
may
I
even
think they vary quite a bit. Like in my personal opinion, in
Oh
the
yeah, certain mages are
like
easier to
utility
balance
to
than others for
damage,
sure.
whereas like hunters, they seem like yeah, there's a few that have a little utility, but it's all just kind of here's damage and damage and damage.
Oh, okay. Well, so let's say that even when I say mages, let's not use the idea that mages are such a diverse class as why they're hard to balance. That's not true. I'll just say the traditional ranged AoE damaging mages as a group are hard to balance because of those perception versus actual reality issues.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking that
We
maybe the class diversity is kind of if you were to
Yeah, no, and that's a totally good
generalize, yeah.
point. That's a totally good point, but I feel like that's kind of using it. Let's like turning this question into a trick question, right? So,
I can give you
just
that.
as far as a real core category of gods that are similar to each other, it being the question, the ranged DPS mages are hard to balance because we even see pro play; those don't get picked up as much. Like Anubis, we are perpetually not competitive, but then these characters do super super well with new players and in other game modes and depending on the skill level of the player. So they're just all over the place, which can make them hard to balance. Hard to balance in that it's hard to get their community to agree with their actual performance.
There you go. Fair enough. And that was our last of our Twitter questions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I guess before to wrap this all up, Nev, last chance. Any further questions?
There's been some very interesting topics floating around the Smite universe lately.
Such as
The ones that I see coming up the most that people ask me about that we didn't talk about today is skin creation and specifically community involvement in skin creation, or the topic of God reworks. Those are probably the two more complicated design questions that I get pretty often.
like the Loki rework that should happen. Huh? Yeah? Huh?
Yeah, so, if we want to talk about reworks first, before we call it a day, the mid-season of this year I think was very successful. I think it was a very good example of how we can do reworks that work. I would
Yeah,
also say
Nike's
that it's
really
not
fun now because of that.
Who's new fun? Who's more fun now?
Nike. And ISIS.
Oh,
I liked ISIS before, but now I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll take these. But Nike's way
she was
more
just more
enjoyable.
buffs than a rework, but yeah, for sure, both of those guys. But I would say though, historically speaking, reworks have not been super successful, and people in the community have not been very happy with them. So, we did it in mid-season, we did it well, and I think we're starting to find the formula. And it's really hard to rework a god and make everybody happy, because no matter what the god does, a lot of people just want the god to stay as they are. They don't care if they're unpopular or they're too strong or too weak, too whatever. They don't care. They just want them to stay the way they are. So trying to make reworks that stay true to the current character design, but also do all of these things that we want to fix or things we want to remove, those are really difficult. So, ones like Loki that a lot of the players want changed, but is still overwhelmingly popular. So traditionally, or for this mid-season, I made the criteria that the character had to be relatively unpopular and have balance issues or gameplay issues before we would consider them for a rework. Loki's still pretty popular.
Yeah,
You
but
could say Thor. Thor was pretty popular, even though we chose to rework him. But since he's a free god, I
it
believe his
skews it a little
popularity
bit.
is skewed and inflated. We saw that in like high-ranking, high MMR games, he was not getting any picks at all. So we used that more specific subset of popularity. to justify his changes, but yeah, reworks are just super interesting. I just want to take this chance to talk about it and share with the community the challenges involved in them, and to let them know that yeah, since midseason was super successful, that has us feeling good. It makes us want to consider some of these. You know, I've seen Bastet, Odin,
Yeah. I was
Loki,
gonna say that.
Freya, all of these types of things brought up, and we're gonna be looking at them, but it's just something that is really difficult and really time consuming and really dangerous. So I'm not going to confirm any of those are definitely happening. I just want to let everybody know that, you know, we see all the feedback, we see all the discussion. We're really happy that people are sharing all these thoughts, so we can continue to, you know, focus on this specific design skill set that is really, really complicated, which is the idea of a god rework. Have any additional questions or thoughts on this topic?
Well, I was just gonna say, so we're not gonna see Baron Samedi and Zhonghui enter the Guardian pool.
I don't think so. I think the idea of the tanky mage is still fine, and that gives them more flexibility than a true guardian. But class reclassifications aren't necessarily even as intense as a true rework, you know?
I'd say a lot of that's just got to be number changes.
It is in most cases. It's mostly the base stats and the base and scaling damage values are the core things that define a class. But then, of course, the ability kit defines a class as well. So sometimes, in order to make a class swap, we would also want to adjust the kit a little bit. But those two weren't even on my radar. But
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking Baron's got good lockdown and a heal for whoever he'd be in lane with if you put him in the support role. And Zhonghui, I don't think there's any other mages where their passive gives them protections.
now the question is,
Aphrodite.
do you think people would be happier with those characters' balance points, or do you think they would be more popular if we did those changes?
I don't know.
I think Baron
we
would
have the
probably
numbers.
fall off, honestly, in popularity a little bit. Because then if
Yeah.
you just make him tankier so he can take more damage, but now he's not dealing any damage, and he's not feeling as fun.
Yeah. So
Well, that's what his passive is about, right? He does more damage once he gets everything stacked up.
that's true. And I think I would
Mm.
like Baron to rely on that a little more. And we tried that, and we've done a lot of shifting and balancing around that concept. And it seems like players weren't agreeing with us that they want to rely on the hysteria. They just want to deal damage up front.
Well, I'm reading Hysteria now, and it's basically like a double Shaman's Ring.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
20% additional damage, so Shaman's Ring 30% additional damage. Like, I don't know. Guy's
No,
good.
I agree.
And
That's a
then you
very
got
good
the-
mechanic to point
That
to.
is a good point.
Then you got the cleanse on his 2. He's a good guy.
So I wanted to mostly just to sum up, I wanted to just make it clear that we do feel like midseason was super successful. We know that now, since we did those reworks in midseason, that the community's hungry for more, and we are working towards planning these out. But some of them might take longer than others, and some of them might not happen due to not meeting some of that criteria that I mentioned.
Just please don't remove Loki's invisibility. I know that's what everyone's like, get rid of, but like that's not what I'm like, no, that stays.
I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying have there be a point where he takes so much damage and it breaks.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to adjust it without getting rid of it. And I
a
think that would
damage
be
threshold?
too core to his identity to get removed. I know some people are under the opinion that stealth doesn't belong in this game at all, but I think also enough of our community, we've seen from our new god creation that our community really, really loves that gods that have single things about them that no one else can do. Something super unique. So if Loki's stealth becomes the thing that can do and pretty much no one else can do, that's
Well,
okay.
Morgan and Izanami both have stealths, but
And
theirs can
Kwong,
be
but they're
broken,
different, yeah.
so-
Yeah. Ao Kwong and
Ao Kwong,
Jormungandr.
Oh, yeah, more
The Stealth
Gander.
Guardian.
I always forget
Yep,
about
but
that.
you can all hit them with something, and then boop, there they are.
Right, but no one else quite has Loki stealth.
Right.
Well, Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about reworks. Can't confirm any of them still. Sorry. I know a lot of this when people interview me is they want me to confirm stuff in the future that I can't. But we're looking at them. We got the idea. We've seen the success from a few of them, and we want to keep that hot streak going. But historically, all before this midseason reworks have been not super successful. At least from a community perception. I don't think most people were very happy with the changes to Freya or Ratatosker, or I guess those are the ones that we get brought back up the most. there was many other successful ones as well.
Well, I think after all that kind of wraps us up on our end. I'd like to thank you again for coming on and spending some time with us, answering some questions. It's fun having you.
Yeah, thank you. I love the opportunity to talk about Smite anytime. And I spend most of my time on my team in my day-to-day, even doing more messaging and talking to people and community management and like planning of long-term goals. So I'm really happy to do this with you all anytime, and I want to share information as much as I can.
I'm surprised you actually found the time. You're a busy guy. I was like, the whole
It's
time
a
we were
nice
down
long
there, you were
weekend.
running around constantly.
Yeah, well, that's why we're doing this on a weekend.
Well,
It's a
you're
nice
right.
long
You're
weekend,
right.
so I still woke up and did some things around the house for my wife and went and got lunch, and now this is just cutting into a little bit of my gaming time this weekend, but it's all good. I appreciate you all working around my schedule, because I know like on a weeknights and stuff is just really rough for me, so I thank you. I'm not sure if this is when you guys normally record, but I really appreciate it.
We Friday, Saturday, either or day, whatever works really, typically. But we generally do Fridays. But nothing wrong with a Saturday afternoon every once in a while.
So if you have any more questions or anything comes up after this goes live, people were confused about anything I said, please just, shoot me a tweet or a message or whatever, and I'll be happy to answer some more questions or happy to clarify. I try to pop in and reply to a Smite Reddit thread like a couple a week, especially things I see coming up a lot or things that I have good answers for. um, so just because we're ending my segment on this podcast doesn't mean you can't just pop by and ask me questions in many other ways, and I'd be happy to answer them as long as I have something that I'm allowed to say and have the time to say it.
Yeah, so those are the two key points right there. But yeah, we'll make sure to include all your links and everything in the description, even though, I mean, guys, if you're checking us out, you know AJAX. But regardless, they'll be in the description.
All right, sounds good.
Take care. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I would like to thank AJAX once again for stopping by. Definitely appreciate that. But I think it's time to talk about the Hat of Purgatory. Let's see. Last week's Hat of Purgatory, we had the I'm Helping by G Nev.
Helping.
So, this one was, we said a 3 or a 5-man option. We end up doing it with 4. Fucking sue me. Shit happens.
Did you take it to Siege or?
No, we end up doing it in an arena. But it just so happened Willow was like, come on, man, we need to do the hat today because he's going on his trip and wasn't going to be able to record. I'm like, yeah. So I hopped on. But we had 4, and it's like, well, we can't find a 5th, and we're not going to boot somebody, so we'll just do it in this. I end up picking Kepri. Willow end up picking Isis. Danny Boy had Cabrakan again, and Ash had Nike. Oh boy, guys. This was right after that Cupid game where I went 17-2, right?
Oh no.
This one we did in arena. I went 3-0 on Kepri.
Hey,
And
that's respectable.
We were fucking these kids up. It was okay. Let me click on this here to get them hard stats, but it was rough for the enemy team, to say the least. So it ended 54 tickets to 0 tickets. Our Scotty, which was our rando, went 15-5. Willow was 5-1. I was 3-0, and the Nike was 8-6. Cabrakan 6-5. So we're all doing pretty well for the most part. But our CC was fucking ridiculous. Like, someone walked into Scotty Ice and started sliding. Here comes a Cabrakan. And then here comes the Isis silencing you. And then the Isis Spirit Ball. And then here comes Kepri rooting you in place and plucking you and shredding you. Like, oh my God. We were staggering our alt, or not our alts, our CCs pretty well. And just all of our damage in general. The only real problem we had was there was an enemy Vamana that just he built movement speed. So I mean, y'all know how that goes with Vamana movement speed. We couldn't catch the fuckhead. But we got to the point where like, okay, everybody bought anti-heal. I ended up buying a cursed Ankh and upgraded it as soon as I could. And I'm like, guys, just dead ass. Let's not even fight this guy. Because you can't, it's hard to catch a Vamana, especially in arena. And he would just come harass the backline and take off. So it's like, let's just literally stay grouped up, ignore Vamana, because he was staying away from us tanks, because we could shut him down. And only fight him when we have our cursed Ankh up. And he ults. And so that's what we did. And like, we literally just fucking ignore this guy. And just did our best to just not even engage with him, run right past him, and just go to his teammates. And as a warrior person, someone who likes to play warriors, considering they don't have much CC, that is very frustrating when the enemy team does that, when they ignore you, because you don't do enough damage to really kill them. I mean, you kind of can, but not really. And if the enemy team isn't throwing damage at you, you're not doing much as a tank. So it feels kind of bad. But that left us free and open to just frag on their back line, which we definitely did. Poor AMC. Dude, this AMC went 2-11. Their Izanami was 3-7, and their Cuckoo Clan was 5-8.
You hate to see it.
No, we love to see it. We're like, fuck you, Vamana. You want to sit here and annoy us? Well, we're just going to shit on your teammates. But yeah, it was bad. It was one of the ones where I'm like Kepri ulting as people go into enemy fountain, and yeah. Good times, good times. I'm helping. We were all helping. I honestly think our passive played a lot into it. Because, alright, there was at one point, I don't remember the exact details. I think it was from a Cuckoo Clan tornado. But Willow almost died, right? But I shelled him, and my passive kicked in, and his passive healing up all kicked in at the same time, where he dropped down to like 10 HP before he actually went back up. Like, it was so close. It's like, whew, whew. Wipe the sweat off the brow.
I always love it when the hat just like works, you know,
And
like
it's fun.
And it's fun, yeah. I'm not a big fan of the ones where it's not fun and it doesn't work.
Right.
But I'm glad that this one was fun and it also worked. So. Well,
So
what do
you
we
know
got
the
for
next one
week?
that's going to be fun and totally work?
What do we got?
We got maximum CDR Cupid.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's because we keep talking about 50% cooldown.
Dude, 50% Cupid's like optimal Cupid. But, hear me out here.
All right.
So this is what we got.
Okay.
You got your boots. You get a Jotuns. Almost said Hotuns. Jotuns.
Hotens.
You get yourself a Hydras.
That's why you were going to Hotens.
Yeah.
Jotun's Hydras. Yeah.
Then you're going to want a Fail Knot. Right? So we're
Fail
at 50% already. You're going to need Breastplate. Get you up to that 70. Then you're going to need Spirit Robe and Mantle. That'll get you up to 90. Can't get up to actually 100. Obviously, after boots, too.
Do we have this written down somewhere?
I put it in the show notes, but I forgot to add in
it's
Fail
in-
Knot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. That show
Right,
notes.
yeah, I'm seeing it. I can see.
Here, need me to pin it, even though it's the first message right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
That'll help.
All right.
There we
Right,
go.
there
There
we
with
go.
the
All right.
pins.
Oh, okay. There it
The
is. Right
pins.
there. Right fucking there. Imagine that.
Right there. Now I know. Imagine that.
Imagine.
They're using the show notes. It's whoever thought of that.
All right, people. Build Cupid. Frag. Go have fun.
Bonus points if you use Gutter Sniper.
Oh.
Bonus points.
Automatic disqualification if you use Gutter Sniper. You know what? You know what? How about you go ahead and do this, Nev, if you want to use Gutter Sniper.
Wait a minute.
Ooh.
Wait a minute.
Baited.
Yep.
You know what?
Enjoy.
I'll try it in Drunk Scrims later. How about that?
Ooh, he's not even here. He doesn't know. He doesn't
feel
know
like
what's coming for him.
That, like, they might. Wow. Okay. Yep. Enjoy your mid Cupid 90% CDR. drink.
It'll be fine. It'll be okay.
I'm helping.
Blame it on the alcohol when all else fails.
So
Just
yeah,
blame it on the
assassin comes
alcohol.
through mid, heal him up every time. Boom.
So, next we have our community corner. That's right. We're finally answering the community corner, people. We're getting to it.
We're doing it. We told you we would, and now we are.
Yeah.
All right. So, a couple weeks ago, we went ahead and asked you people, what would you rework in this game? So,
Right.
Dep,
Yeah.
do you possibly want to take a lead on this one?
I am trying to find it, and it looks like the first one is Web Impulse, if I
You
am not
found
correct.
it.
I'd work on different visual themes for Conquest. One for each pantheon. That way we're not stuck in Greece all the time.
I think that's not gonna go based on what AJAX just said in our interview portion with him.
Yeah, maps take up a lot of memory.
It'll be a
and
lot of
they
space.
don't want the game
yeah.
to be too big.
I love the idea, but in a way, I mean, this is just for Conquest, but the other game modes are based on different pantheons. I know it's not quite the same, but
Right. Hey, I'm just
and
saying. Who
they're
plays
trying to
Siege
get away
anymore?
from
No.
pantheon things. Remember,
Right.
they don't want to be restricted by pantheons.
Next one up, Ash Basham, 619. Okay, so I might have a lot to say. First off, when it comes to rework, I think Siege should be changed. Shorten the map by 5%, not too much. Or else the Siege minion will get to the towers faster. Also, make Siege pick and ban with 10 bans each.
That's too many.
That's way too many bans. Personally, I don't like playing this, but these small changes will make the game fun again. Maybe. Next, maybe we get the tutorial updated to try and get more new players accommodated to the game. Another thing would be to have the skins or specific items come from the clan store. Example, Champion Enigma or Cutesy Chest for purchase. There's an idea. Now for gods. We need a new model for Was, since Ruby is making a debut to Smite with skins, so let's change some more anime style skins since the licensing for the actually characters will be expensive. I'm not sure where
Typo.
it's going. Yeah, that's reading as is. Also, let's move Ao Kuang to assassin and make him the first magical assassin in the game permanently. So most of the changes and things I wouldn't mind changing in Smite. I have more, but it would be overkill if he continues.
Ao Kuang already is a magical assassin.
Yeah. He's in the mage tree because he does magical damage. If he was in the assassin tree, he would do physical damage.
I mean, there are other small implications, like mages have different scalings, and they do different amounts of damage off their basic attacks. To structures and to people too. It really is just a name. He already
What's
is.
in a name?
He goes in the jungle. He does assassin stuff. He doesn't have ranged attacks like mages do. I mean, the only thing they can really do is change him from magical to physical damage, but then he's not a magical assassin.
Right.
Correct. I do
Coffin
like.
Monkey. Oh, I was gonna.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I do
it.
like the suggestion to get the tutorial updated, because I do have friends joining. You know, we've talked about her before. Lovey, is newer to Smite, and I think if there was a more updated tutorial or core builds or whatever, it would make her life a little bit easier. You know, just trying to figure out and understand the different mode types and what the different classes do and everything like that. So,
Coffin Monkey coming in with more cowbell.
Understandable. I can't think of the last cowbell I heard.
Yeah. Green Lantern. Lantern 25 green. Clegurn? I don't know.
Clarigan?
Clarigan. There we go. Maybe that's the one. For a
no, it's
rework.
Clarigan.
Clarigan?
I don't fucking know.
That's what I'm saying. See, right? Like, I can't do it.
We need to rework
right.
your name. What are you saying?
Right. For a rework, limiting conquest rolls to roll supported items. Maybe just me, but having a support that decides they're going full damage, then never rotate out of lane because they have decided they are the ADC Kraken, for example. Leaving carry underleveled, trying to catch up desperately to be able to even engage in team fights as they push into our base. Support being only having access to items of supporting nature, etc. Guess it could classify as a salty rant also. However, that would be... Bro, you can't be typing messages and not distract me at the same time. As I get a notification, I want to read it. Come on now. Lost my spot.
They started it. I'm sorry.
All right. Where was I?
Guess it could classify as a salty rant, I think.
Okay. However, that would be something I would change. Oh, and that 3 votes yes beats 2 votes no, since I've been getting games where people just really don't know what they're doing, then don't seem to understand the game nor caring to reply when I ask them if I can help them understand. A few times in game now, I've typed out the Addy for the pod just in case. Oh, so he's giving us free advertising. Dope. And to take the trees out of the tower corner on the Joust map, south side, I would imagine it would be considered. A few times now during duels, they have become a hindrance, yet is only the one tower they are in. I guess I don't know what he's talking about on the Joust map.
Yeah, send me a screenshot of what you're talking about. Like what tree is in your way in the Joust map. I don't play enough of it to know particularly off the top of my head, I guess.
He says the south corner, so that's Jade, right?
Yeah, but I don't know what tree is in the way.
Right.
So the 3 votes yes beats 2 votes no. The problem with that is salty 2-mans or salty 3-mans.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially. Is it really fun when 3 out of the 5 people are like, get me out just because one person got stuck in support and they didn't want and 2 other people are feeding? Even though your mid and your jungle might be doing great, or your mid and your whatever might be doing great. I mean, I do get it, but I just... they don't want you F6ing all the time.
Right.
That's not necessarily healthy for the game.
The way Depp's been considering whether he surrenders or not is if 3 of the people have already said yes, over half the players on your team don't want to be there. And so if you're in a bad mood or you don't want to be in a game, you're not going to be performing as well as if you were in a good mood or if you want to keep playing that game. So, just
Yeah, but I know for a fact we all have been in a game where like F6, get me the fuck out. Your team pulls it, the vote fails. Your team pulls its head out of their ass and wins within the next like before you can even surrender again. And
yeah.
you're like, okay,
but
well,
I've also been in a 40-minute game where 2 people refused to surrender, and we had surrenders going up on cooldown, and we still lost. So
I'll give you that.
It's
it's
definitely a case by case
thin
basis.
line. It's a thin line, yeah.
Think of all the people in ranked though that are trying to like climb. How pissed they'd be by people just F6ing left and right.
So maybe have it be 3 in casuals, 4 in ranked.
So now you have 2 separate systems. Now that's adding even more workload. More systems you have, more things can break. Like, because, yeah, in ranked, you could have your 2-man party say they want to do it.
Yeah.
And you could have the third rando be like, yeah, I guess get me out.
Right.
And then you got the other 2 who are trying to climb.
Look, you can instantaneously surrender a duel. So, there you go.
Oh, speaking of duel, Mr. Nepp coming in with our next question. I would change duel so it ends after a certain number of kills. Titans become your last defense, but are killable. They get a respawn timer like everything else and still can't be bull demoned. Not sure what he means by that. Instead, there is a built-in timer before the Titan becomes disabled. If you want to Titan sit, either you have to exit Titan line or enter combat X amount of time, or Titan to not get disabled. Whichever seems better for dual meta. I think the dual meta is now that the Titan is a wet noodle that can die to literally anything, even if they're Titan sitting. So.
Yeah, because now the Titan doesn't regen at all. And it does less damage to the player, so the player can dive you more.
Yep.
And what he means
Anubis
by
is
it can't
pretty
get
good
bull
in
demoned
duel.
is if they implement it where the Titan can respawn, like a Phoenix, don't make it so he can be bull demoned. So keep that aspect the same.
Gotcha. I would not say that kill counts, because you can come from. I've had duels where I've come from behind where they've got a significant amount of more kills than me, but because I outlasted them, I was able to get maybe a lucky kill and then push the towers and get the Titan. But I think that goes against the idea of how Smite works as a MOBA. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really play enough duel to be like, this is how duel should go or anything like that. But that sounds like it would just kind of turn duel into like a 1v1 arena on the Joust map.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what it would be like. Maybe just have like 100 tickets at that point.
Right. But I do understand people's frustration with like tower sitting and tower camping and Titan sitting and all that. But in the end, if they're doing that, you're free to farm elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You're free to do other things. And especially in duel where the Titan doesn't respawn, like you can keep whittling. And if they're clearing the wave, that means their poke's down. You can go attack the minion or Titan yourself.
Yep.
So it is frustrating. I definitely understand that though.
An Anubis laser beam almost kills Titan completely. Just saying. Full build. Get wrecked. What if the Titans were executable?
No, F6. Moving on.
Nev, you want to take these next two?
I accidentally muted myself. Yeah, I can do that. Sorry.
I was like, Nev, like I didn't miss a message, did I? Oh,
No. I was looking through Discord and I think I accidentally pushed my mute button by mistake. All right. Coffin comes back in and says, after visiting Hawaii and hiking a lot of ancient trails and seeing monuments, I gotta say, let's rework the Hawaiian pantheon. More Hawaiian gods.
So he just wants more Hawaiian gods. He doesn't want to rework. He just wants
Correct.
work.
Yeah, he just wants work. And then we have Ufel. I would rework Odin completely. His kit does not flow together in my opinion. He has an ultimate that is all about caging someone in, but all your damage is in your 1 and your 2, which is a leap combo. And his 3 seems more like a dueling tool, but his 1 and 2 are not much about dueling. I feel Odin's kit should be either a dueler with more focus on auto attacks or on ability combos, or he should be full on bird bomb and have a new 3 and ult to help him bomb better.
Like what though?
Like, yes, like what?
What would help him bird bomb more? Because a slow would help, right?
Oh, that's on his 3 though.
That's on his 3 already.
Yeah.
So
We make his leap as fast as Nike.
Pretty sure it's similar.
I think
It is very awkward.
Fast.
I will say the fact that I think a lot of times on Odin particularly, a lot of people are like, oh, he kind of lackluster in a lot of things, and he is in his own way. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But those are the people that bird bomb and then ult instead of ult and then bird bomb.
Well, no, ult 3 then bird bomb.
Well, yeah, because the 3 has a slow.
While weaving autos. Odin's the perfect assassin. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Dude, damage
Blink,
Odin is
ult,
still scary.
3,
Odin.
weave autos.
You ever go against a Hydra's Odin? Hydra stone cutting Odin?
Dude, Hydra's trans. Spooky.
Well, the reason I
Straight
say
up
Hydra stone cutting is because they do their combo, right? You do your 3 auto, bird bomb auto. And then when they're trapped in the cage, you start fucking shredding them even more with that stone cutting. And I think his 3rd swing of his hit chain hits like a fucking truck, dude.
Dude, it does. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, that Odin, his passive gives you more power. Am I right? Am I wrong? Odin passive. Anybody? Odin is empowered as he kills people. That sounds like an assassin passive.
Yeah, if he is around when someone dies, he gets bonus movement speed and power.
And bonus power. Okay.
And power, yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I was trying to remember his old passive because he's had a few.
Odin's the most broken god in the game because for free, he gets 20% movement speed after you kill 5 people in his ult. And he gets an additional 40% power.
Right, but it's not that much per person, though. Like, it scales up and he gets scarier and scarier, don't get me wrong. But it's only like, what is it? It's 4% movement speed and 8% power.
Oh, it's only for 8 seconds. I thought there was something with his ult where...
That was his old passive, where you could kill... what is it? You killed people in his cage and it gave you power for every person you kill. But that's attached directly to the cage now, I believe.
Oh, okay. So, that is 5 power per stack and a max of 10 stacks. So he gets 50 power for free, and then an additional 40% if people are dying around you. AKA, Assassin Odin, Best Odin.
I mean, yeah.
Probably Bruiser Assassin. Get a little hybrid build in there. Because I'm just thinking that new Pride Wind's probably pretty good with Odin.
Ooh. That might be fun. That might be fun.
Because
by the way, we're gonna have to do a new Shield Master now that they got Pride
Shield
Wind out.
Master Odin.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be a hat for the future.
Oh, I like
keep
it.
that and throw that in ideas and shit.
Yeah, I'll put it in there. All right. Wolfro?
So, I think it's about that time that we talked about some wildmonkeydesign.com.
Wildmonkeydesign.com.
Dep, this is your part. You're filling in
For
for
all
me.
your design needs.
There we go. Well, all right. I have been your host, Fro Double G. You can find me on Twitter, PSN, Discord, Reddit, all them good places at Fro_double_G. You can find me on the Xbox at Depvea17 or EST1771. There we go. Nailed it. Nevea.
You can find me places at Nevea03.
And you can find me, Depnation, at Depnation on most things. And if you can't find me under at Depnation, you can find me under _. Yeah, that's all. It's Depnation _ no silent.
And you can find the podcast at Battleground of on Twitter. One last question for you guys. Where we can find this bitchin' ass outro?
NCS.
Almost had it.
Add in the last part, the slogan. Come on.
For all your
For
songs.
all your musical needs. Your no
Non-copyright.
copyright
Alright.
music.
Yeah.
Bye. We're failures. We love you.
Bye.